Hello and welcome to Lovett Film. My name is Jamie and we have quite the show for you today. If you are here for Roger Clark, you're in the right place. We had Roger right here. We're talking about some fantastic stuff, talking about his career, life as Arthur Morgan, the star of Red Dead Redemption 2. If you're here and this is your first time seeing us, Lovett Film, and the show, why not leave a review, Apple Podcasts, follow, subscribe. Really helps us out and I appreciate you coming along for the ride. So without further ado, let's get into the interview. Hello, Mr. Roger Clark. An absolute pleasure to meet you, sir.
Nice to meet you too. Thanks for having me.
Oh, thanks for coming on. I'd like to start the interview just talking a little bit about yourself and how you got into the industry. I know in terms of where you started, one of your first jobs was on the fruit slot machine, Reservoir Frogs, where you did a Michael Masden sound-alike. I saw that in a video once. But yeah, tell us a little bit about how you got into your crazy industry that is an actor.
It is a crazy industry, that's for sure. Well, one of my first forays into it was actually an amateur dramatic club in Sligo, the Clare Dramatic Society, which still do an amazing panto every year at the Hawkswell. And I had dabbed in school and parish theatre before, but I think they really ignited that fire within me. And so when finally went to university, I started out studying computers, which was a mistake. I was terrible at it. So then I finally picked up the courage because I knew there wasn't a lot of security in the entertainment industry by no means, and that hasn't changed at all. But, you know, we only get one life, so I decided to have a stab at it. And I studied theatre, media, and drama out of a University of Glamorgan, which is now known as University of South Wales. So, yeah, I moved to Wales and I started my career out in the UK. And I lived there for about a decade and then moved back to the United States, which is where I'm actually from. We moved to Sligo when I was a kid.
Crazy. And yourself, I mean, you've been in so many things that me, myself, I do know, like, of course, like in the video game world and stuff like that. But in terms of just being an actor, I love your stuff on YouTube too, your short films, my favorite in which is A Death to Die For, which is like the 1950s short film you were in. Tell me a little bit about that. I know it was directed by Jackson Marima. It's so cool for anyone that doesn't know too. It's a 1950s short film where you play a detective called was Brian McNeely, where he's always chewing gum and just very thick Irish accent. So, what was that like to make?
That was a real pleasure, you know. When COVID came about, everybody was stuck in their houses, as you know, and it was no different for the acting industry as well. But for some reason or other, I'd started producing shorts, you know, because for lack of something better to do, and it was very challenging in that period. But I did make some pretty good relationships. One fella I met at the dog park, and turned out he wrote Flatliners
Oh
back in
wow!
1989. A wonderful writer by the name of Peter Filardi, and we still enjoy a wonderful relationship to this day. Where his latest film, Damn Handy, is still doing the festival circuit all around the states, and it airs in Boston this coming Friday night, actually. So that was a lot of fun to do. We've gotten two projects with Peter Filardi, and then Jackson, of course, who I also met. He's this up and coming wonderful director and writer. I think he's hilarious and we work well together. Yeah, that was kind of like a film noir spoof. And we shot that a couple of years ago. By this point, COVID was gone. But we shot that in and around the Connecticut area, which is where we both live. And it was a joy. And we've done a few since. And, you know, I love being in front of the lens just as much as behind the microphone, you know? And
Yeah,
I always try to remind people that actors can wear a lot of different hats, you know? And one of the biggest misconceptions that I've come across, at least certainly since Red Dead Redemption 2 came out, which is what I'm known for best, but a lot of people still think that video games is voice acting. And although that's still true to some extent, the majority of the time, it's not. It's no
yeah.
longer voice acting anymore. It's all performance capture, which is totally different. Completely different. So I try to raise awareness about performance capture because it's a medium I'm really passionate about, and I think it's really awesome as well. You've all seen it, behind the scenes
Yeah,
stuff
yeah.
with Avatar and Planet of the Apes
Oh,
and
well,
stuff
you're
like that.
dead right though, because it really is a full body theater. Like I'm a huge Red Dead Redemption 2 fan, by the way. So this is an absolute treat to get to talk to yourself, Arthur Morgan. When I say huge fan, like it's embarrassing. Like I annoy my girlfriend all the time with my Arthur Morgan voice, and she's like, she hasn't played the game, so she's like, why is it? Why are you talking like this weird old Western man? I was like, it's not. It's Arthur Morgan. But it really is full body theater. It's not voice acting. It really is acting. Every slight movement in the game, whether it be yourself or anyone else or Dutch or John, it is every single movement you do was you. So it's a fantastic performance, and I really do agree with you. And just in terms of Red Dead Redemption 2, it's one of these things where it's very fertile ground. You get a lot of people here who are dedicated. They love the game, myself included. Are you surprised to see now that, say, what is it, 6 or 7 years later, that it's still such a beloved thing?
Yeah, it was 6 years last October.
Wow.
I'll be honest with you, Jamie. Now, I was hoping that we would be enjoyed as much as its predecessor, Red Dead Redemption. And I think we achieved that. But
Oh yeah.
6 years now, 6 years. And people are still enjoying it for the first time, for that matter. And not only that, but I remember my father would be screaming at me to get off the Super Nintendo and stuff, or even the Nintendo. And now I hear of it bringing families together, like grandchildren and grandparents, and the grandfather peeks in. He's like, "What are you playing? Oh, is this a Western?" And then, so many people have come up to me and said, it got me to know my grandfather, it really got us a lot closer before he passed away. And I want to thank you for that. It's overwhelming. It's overwhelming. All an actor really wants to do is just have their work enjoyed by an audience, and to have reached the audience that I did with Red Dead 2, I still pinch myself all up and down my arms. They're still black and blue.
Yeah. No, I mean, you're dead right as well. And that's so interesting too about the multi-generational impact of the game, because I mean, my grandfather, he's in his 80s, and of course I don't live with him, but I feel like if he did see the game, that would be something that you could relate with. It's crazy how it can hit so many people in such an emotional depth too, myself included. I remember when the game came out, I mean, as someone who grew up in Ireland for a portion of your life, like the Leave insert and stuff like that, I think about that time, and that was the time Red Dead Redemption 2 came out for me. And that was such a sort of nice memory. That was where I went to. That was my game. That was my world. I mean, school was boring. Red Dead Redemption 2, I was Arthur Morgan. It was badass. I had tuberculosis. It was amazing. And it's one of these things as well where you guys are so talented too. The whole cast of Red Dead Redemption 2, where anyone who plays the game, they can't help but keep playing. Not just from the gameplay and all the amazing things Rockstar do, but from the performances. What was it like to act with these guys like Rob Weedoff and such?
Well, we worked on it for so long. We couldn't help but develop some pretty strong relationships ourselves. We became a gang in our own right. But it took a village. I think the immersiveness of the world of Red Dead 2 is one of the reasons why it's lasted and still entertains audiences now. I know people who've played it 6 or 7 times and they're still finding new things.
Maybe. Mm-hmm.
But yeah, we became a gang. 5 years I worked on it,
Wow.
from August 2013 to August 2018. And in the space of those 5 years, it was almost pretty much a full-time job. And I got to know everyone intimately well, and for a lot of different reasons. I mean, we were always with each other and working with each other, but the NDAs are there for a reason. They don't want to spoil it for the fans. We don't want the story to get out before it's ready. So obviously, in respecting that NDA, we had no one to talk about it with except each other. So we all very much got on the same page, and we were all very much invested in the story and in the scripts when we would receive them. We got them bits by bits. Yeah, we're still dear, dear friends, and we still do conventions and bump into each other from time to time. I see Rob probably twice a month still,
Yeah.
and Rob Weedoff is an absolute gentleman. I remember the first day I worked with him. I was a huge Red Dead Redemption fan, and I couldn't help but stop doing the odd double take because I'm thinking, here I am with John friggin' Marston, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, and Rob as well has such a distinctive voice that he's not even putting on like an old cowboy voice. His voice is John Marston, so
You
you
should see
hear
it
it.
sometimes. Sometimes people come up to me and they go, hey, abuses his real voice. I'm like, so what? So?
Yeah. Your voice is great, though. I mean, even like myself, I do stupid impressions all the time, you know. I'm always doing Homer Simpson, whatever. I mean, Arthur is such a distinct voice. How did you find it? Was that just something in you that you were just like, Dutch, and then you had it? Or was it something you really had to think about?
Well, I remember the audition. There were a few auditions. First one, like with mostly the case is you don't know what you're auditioning for until they get you to sign a big old NDA. But so for the first one and the first two or three, I think, I wasn't certain. My suspicions were raised, but I wasn't certain. And they just said put on a a Western accent. So at the time, I was doing theater. I was doing Midsummer Night's Dream in Brooklyn, directed by Julie Taymor. And there was a fellow in our dressing room from Flagstaff, Arizona, and he used to do an impression of his grandfather, like the way, his grandfather was like born, he was like Second World War, and ended up being a rancher and what have you. And it made me really, I just thought it was great. So I kind of took a bit out of his book, and he helped me out a bit. But then I also kind of threw in a little bit of the South as well in that, because I thought this is a guy who's traipsing all over the place, and from my own personal experience, I know what damage that can do to an accent. Because having people ask me, where are you from my whole life?
You know, you have a cool voice, though. I mean, I can hear as an Irish dude myself, I can hear the Sligo coming in. But it's interesting
With
knowing
the
that
odd
you're.
yank, yeah.
Yeah. It's interesting how it's in together.
But yeah, to answer your question, there was this fellow from Flagstaff, Arizona, with a bit of Southern in there, and I was experimenting maybe the first few months. But once we were about 2 or 3 months in, it was like flicking on a switch. But if ever I did there were like when we were a couple of years in, I would get paranoid. I like, does this sound the same? Can you just play me stuff from a couple of years ago? And they would gladly accommodate. And then I'd be like, okay, we're on the right track.
I get you. And when acting in Brooklyn with Midsummer's Night's Dream, is there anything that say the motion capture is most like? Is it most like say theater, or is it most like film or TV, or is it just its own thing?
I'd say it's a cross between theater and the round, where the
Mhm.
audience is on multiple
All right.
sides
Yeah.
of you, and film. Like for specifically for Red Dead 2, and I've since discovered, hardly any game studio does it the same way as another. It's so secretive. And uh, but what I did learn is that for some studios, they'll have a different actor do all the in-game animations, and then the actor does the cutscenes. And then
Yeah.
other studios, they'll just have a stunt performer do the in-game animations, and then they'll hire a model to be the face. And no two studios do it the same way. But the way Rockstar did it, I really appreciated because I felt it gave me a lot of ownership over Arthur. I did everything except for
Mhm.
major stunts, and I've since discovered that a lot of studios don't do it that way. But we did all the in-game animations as well. Arthur walks like me. Arthur, picks his nose just like me.
And the crouch running apparently was very hard, wasn't it?
Oh yeah, yeah. I've talked about that multiple times. Yeah, that was
Yeah.
that was that was a really good workout on the thighs. But yeah, everything you see Arthur do is what I think a cowboy should have done, except for the major stunts. But there's still a few stunts that I did, like that big fight with Tommy in the mud.
Oh wow. Well, that was in Valentine right at the beginning. Is that what
I
you're talking
flew
about?
out the window. I mean, granted, there was plenty of mats, which is another joy of mocap. You can put mats in, and then when you finally see the end product, the mats aren't there, so it makes you look a lot harder. And then the last fight with Micah, we did it in tandem with two other stunt performers, and they kind of choreographed it, but we both did it. And I'm happy to say that they used a fair bit of our data instead of the stunt performers because by this point, we're familiar with the way Arthur moves. We're familiar with the strut of Micus. They used a lot of our data, and Rockstar do it differently. That's what I'll say, and it's a real joy because, like in cutscenes are far more cinematic. Cutscenes are much more like you would work on film because the director has a pretty good idea of where the camera's gonna be, so you can play to that. But with in-game animations, you have no idea where the camera's going to be because the player's in control of it. And more often than not, it's going to be a wide shot, too. Because when you're playing a game, you like to be able to see your environment just to prevent ambushes or whatever. So they're two totally different ways to perform in motion capture. And we learned both ways. But yeah, I would say the cutscenes are far more cinematic. The in-game stuff is far more technical.
Yeah, I mean it's great that you guys have the freedom to actually take ownership of that character and say it's your own and genuinely put your stamp on everything. That's cool to hear as well. I've played Red Dead Redemption 2 probably about 5 or 6 times, and when I say played, I mean from beginning to end. I always go for the high honor ending as well. So that's crazy to think that every single thing bar the crazy stuff is you, and it's cool, man. It's very cool. So I appreciate that. If you're enjoying this podcast, why not write a review? Reviews really help us get noticed. It helps us, get more interviews and keep doing these things. If you really like it and you want to see more, Patreon. We have a Patreon. The link is in the bio on our Instagram page, and that's where you could leave anything at all. A little bit goes a long way, and of course, we appreciate it. While we're on the subject of Red Dead 2, I have a favorite scene. Now, depending on the way you play the game, I'm sure you know this, you might not get this scene near the end when everything's falling apart and people are leaving the camp. Before Leopold Strauss leaves, there is this one last debt collection. You can go to this woman's house and she says the line, she goes, "Oh, you want my son's shoes too?" And it's so heart-wrenching to watch because Arthur, as a dying man, is like, what the hell have I been doing with my life? It's so much emotion in his face alone. Do you remember acting out that scene? Because for me, I was like, whoa, this is crazy that you could skip this.
Yeah, sure. I remember that. Absolutely. It was, yeah, I remember, I forget her name, but it was a wonderful actress. And the kid was one of the Jacks that we used. He was doubling in as another kid for that one. But yeah, he feels like a total asshole. Yeah, because he kind of is. And that's one of the scenes that opens up his eyes. By that point, he's definitely diagnosed, spoilers, and he's really, really starting to second guess what he's done with his life. And, the player has the choice to forgive the debt or not, and most of us, I think, forgave it, right?
Yeah.
And then gave her some money in turn. But I mean, redemption's in the title, right? So, and those debt collecting missions are one of the ways that Arthur finds his new lease on life, ironically, as it's approaching its fast end. But he does strive to be a different person in the end, I think. No matter whether you play high honor or low honor, he definitely tries to change somehow, I think.
I think so too. He really does. And I feel like most players, they start off thinking, oh, I'm going to be like John Marston. I'm just going to kill a bunch of people. I don't care. But you don't want to do that to Arthur towards the middle and end. You're like, I have to make this guy turn good. He's dying. It's just such a beautiful story. And speaking of it, when you were shooting, did you know Arthur was going to die from the get-go? Or was that something that you put together yourself as it was going along?
Pretty early on. Pretty early on. Another thing I'd like to mention about that last scene is that Arthur himself, he had a son, and I don't know what you'd call it back in the 19th century. I guess it's a baby mama, right? Today, right?
Yeah.
And they were alone by themselves, and they were stuck up for money, and he wasn't there to protect them when they needed it, and they got robbed and murdered as a result. So I think there's this look that Arthur just looks away.
Yeah. Oh, man.
He's remembering his family that he lost in that moment. But going back to your previous question, uh, what was it again? What was the last thing you said?
Oh, sorry. I was saying, did you know he died? But just forgetting that
Oh
for a
yeah,
minute. Sorry. As in, that's so interesting to put that together with. I didn't even think with the woman and the child, he would see his wife and Isaac. That's it's for a video game. It's incredible. The other question was from the beginning. When did you know Arthur was going to die?
pretty early on. So I obviously I was very familiar with Red Dead Redemption, and then once I booked the job and realized what it was, I started playing it even more often. So I knew John's end. I knew how his story would come to a conclusion. And then very early on, we did the scene where he beats up Downs, and it's very specific stage direction in the script. It says, Downs coughs in Arthur's face. So I went, oh, okay. And they wanted me to really make that register, like wiping the phlegm from his face. So I went, oh, okay. Well, what's that all about? And our wonderful director, Rod Edge, says, oh, yeah, you get TB. I went, oh, interesting. And I'm Googling when the cure for TB was found, and it was in 1899. So I think, oh, okay, I'm gonna die just like John then. And he's like, yeah, you are. But
Oh wow.
they did it differently. With John, you don't see it coming.
Mm.
But now with Arthur, you do see it coming, and you see it coming from a long way off. So it's a different type of tragedy. It's a different type of mourning. And I just think the way Rockstar repeated that convention in the game, but still managed to make it different and keep it fresh, I thought was pretty interesting. But yeah, for like 4 years, I know my character's gonna die, but I didn't know specifically how until we got the sides. We would get the pages for it maybe a week or two in advance.
Wow. I mean, you did such a good job too. I mean, I say it to my brother Chris, who you were talking to earlier, my other brother Carl too, who's a huge fan of yourself. It's just I can't stress it enough. It really is the best video game of all time, and I can say that. I know you probably don't want to say that since you win it, but I can say that as a fan. It's just for a Western game, Red Dead Redemption. It's just everything about it, the story, the performance. Just I applaud you, sir. It's fantastic. I'm a huge fan. Still am, of course. In terms of other stuff you've done too, you did Fort Solace was an adventure space game you did a couple of years back too, which I had a shot of the other day in prep for the interview, which is very cool. What was it like going from Western Cowboy with TB to space?
That was cool. I love that gig. Obviously, if you that game, you'll get that game done in about 4 or 5 hours. So obviously, it was a much smaller job. But I did get to work with Troy Baker and get to know him pretty
Wow.
well. He does a fantastic job in it. And another really interesting thing, because it had been about a couple of years since I had done mocap, because COVID reared its head, and we finished working on Red Dead 2 in 2018, like I said earlier. So it was amazing for me to see all of the technological advancements of mocap in that had happened in those years. So yeah, we did that out in the UK, and it was a real joy. And yeah, I heartily recommend it. It's a walking sim, but it's quite the thriller. If you've got a night to yourself, I highly recommend. I just love the whole medium, like I was saying before. It really offers a lot of freedom, and you can do a lot with it too. And the same studio for that matter. It can be a haunted house in the morning, and then in the evening it can be, you know, 1,000 feet underwater. It's all the adaptability.
Mhm.
Is It's really up to the animators. The animators do. If you've got a great team of animators like we did with Rockstar and with Fort Solace, the sky is really the limit. It takes a village. Thousands and thousands of people brought Red Dead 2 to you, and it's just the amount of man hours that goes into it really is unbelievable.
Big time, and I'll definitely check that out. It sounds really up my alley. I love things like Alien Isolation and stuff like that. So, sounds
Oh
very, very
yeah,
cool.
I loved
Yeah.
Alien. That was great.
That was scary. That was genuinely scary.
Yeah.
I can't play that on my own. I ask like my brother or something to come in. I'm a 25-year-old man. I'm like, I can't play this game alone. It's too scary. I mean, funny you mentioned Troy Baker too. I saw you guys were doing a shoot for Entertainment Weekly, like sort of like the Pixel team or squad or something. That was cool to see you guys celebrated together. You had like the likes of Troy Baker, there was Yuri Lowenthal, amongst so many talented actors in video games. What was that like?
It was great. You know, Neil Newbon from Baldur's Gate 3, he was the one who kind of took the helm and organized that. And I think it's wonderful because, you know, as I was saying earlier, trying to raise awareness about what we do when we perform in video games. I don't think the public quite gets it, you know? And what's odd too is that I had, you know, before Red Dead 2 came out, I probably had more opportunities on film than I get now. And you know, that's why that's caused me to start creating my own work and started producing my own films and whatnot. I think that there is a deep, deep misunderstanding, especially in Hollywood, of what it is that video game actors actually do. I think they still think that we're in booths like this, you know, and they just presume that, well, you know, they sit in front of a microphone all day. They wouldn't know what to do in front of the lens, and nothing could be further from the truth. And that's why I really enjoyed and appreciated being part of the Pixel Pack, because we're dispelling that myth, you know?
Yeah. I mean, it's annoying, even myself. Like, I see on TikTok all the time fan castings of games like The Last of Us or Red Dead 2. I'm like, why wouldn't you just cast the actual actors? Like, man, you should be Arthur Morgan. If there's a live action movie, I want to see you. I don't want to see, like, Tom Hanks. I want to see yourself, Roger Clark, as Arthur, you know?
I see a lot of those too. Yeah, I mean, fan castings are fun and all, but yeah. I'm getting a bit old to be Arthur now. I don't know, but gosh, some people still think that Josh Brolin could do it, or Brad Pitt is in his 60s.
They're older than you.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, just a wee bit. Yeah. Sheeny Mac. Yeah, I should hope that they're older than me. But yeah, fan castings are fun and all that. But well, we'd all like to think of ourselves as casting directors, don't we? But
Yeah.
there's only a few people that actually get paid to do it.
Yeah, and not to get serious in any way, but one big thing with the film industry and the game industry and voice acting, which I think is just crazy these days, is all these AI voices of, like, say, your characters or everyone's characters. Do you have any thoughts on that? Because me personally, I hate the whole thing. I think it's taking advantage of people's work, taking jobs away.
Yeah, AI is it's here to stay, whether we like it or not. It's definitely going to change the entire industry irrevocably. And I don't think anybody really knows how it's going to change it just yet. I acknowledge that it does have applications. It is a useful tool in some ways. I've used ChatGPT, you know, trying to do a letter or something. But when it's used to recreate another person's work, that's theft.
Yeah.
It's theft. You know, and I know a lot of people disagree with me. Well, I'm just happy to
I
say,
agree with you. I agree with you. I think it's theft as well. I mean, it takes away from what makes you guys so special, because that's you. That's your emotion coming out, your performance.
all I'd say to those people who don't see the harm in it is, and I think that number's dropping,
Yeah.
because what we have now is we have, I mean, look, everyone's on social media now, right? And all you need is about 5 or 10 seconds of audio to be able to come up with some AI version of someone. And what's happening a lot now is you get these old, vulnerable people and their grandkids are phoning them up asking for bail money. Can you just Venmo this account so that I can get home tonight? I mean, and this is genuinely, I mean, old people are getting robbed.
Yeah.
And it's through the use of AI. You know, I think we need the legislation is starting to get rolling, which will make impersonating people and stealing their voices illegal. And I just don't think it could happen soon enough.
I can't agree with you more. And
Taking
taking
I
it
it
will
back
say
back
one
on,
thing.
yeah,
yeah,
I will say one thing too. I mean, a lot of studios now are using AI for NPC characters, which I also understand that it is cheaper than hiring real actors. And for some roles, you know, like for just some really small, minor NPC part, and you're a struggling studio that is trying to make a name for itself, you know, that makes the whole matter less black and white. But you know, I've started to hear AI, and if I don't know who the original person is, I can't tell the difference whether it's real or not these days. But I just think that AI is it's there to recreate. It doesn't do anything original. It only regurgitates what's already been done, and it's doing it really well now. But real creativity, real empathic connections between one performer and another, I don't think AI will ever get there. And I also think that as an audience, we like, that real, genuine connection that you get on stage between, looking at a person on stage or on the television screen. That's something that should be cherished, and you can tell the difference. And I just don't think AI could be able to move an audience and connect with an audience in the same way that an actor could. Not yet, anyway. The day when we can't tell the difference, that's going to be really nerve-wracking, but we'll see.
It won't get there. I really don't think so. It'll never get to the point where you connected with me and so many others on a deep emotional level as Arthur Morgan. I don't believe that will happen either. And I do want to say, I know we don't have you for all day, Roger. I don't want to be taking up all your time, but I wouldn't forgive myself if I didn't test my Arthur Morgan impression on yourself today. I believe you are the gold standard, as you are Arthur Morgan.
Some people say I sound just like him. I don't know.
So I have to do it just for this. So if you humor me for a second.
Let's hear it. Let's hear what your girlfriend's been suffering from.
Yeah, she's sad about this. You're gonna sleep with your chest open if you ain't careful, boy.
Oh my gosh. Oh,
not bad.
Gosh, I'm so glad you were too young for the role back in 2013.
Yes. Thank you for that. Now, Roger, of course, I don't want to keep you all day. I want to be respectful of your time, as I said. It's been an absolute pleasure just to sit with you, man, talking about your journey, talking about how much Arthur Morgan means to me. The crew just wants to give a wave. I'll turn around.
Likewise, guys. Oh, thank you. Hey, guys. How's it going?
There's Carl, there's Chloe, my girlfriend.
Oh, my God. There's a whole bunch of me. Oh, I'm so sorry.
No, you're
so
okay.
Sorry.
Well, it's been an absolute pleasure. Roger, thanks for coming on.
No, my pleasure. Thanks for having me. Best of luck with it. It was great to meet you all. All right. Take care, guys. All the best. I'll catch you later.
I will too. Wow. One hell of a show. Roger Clark, Arthur Morgan, Shaw. That was, folks, one of the most enjoyable conversations I've ever had in this show for a number of reasons. I mean, number one, this wasn't just some famous guy I was talking to. This was one of my idols. Roger Clark, his performance as Arthur Morgan has resonated in me in a way that I take forward in my life. You know, it's just such a, wow, one of those types of performances, you know. And a big thanks to Roger as well, being so accommodating with his time, allowing Jody from the team to have a little chat and ask him a question. I mean, he didn't have to do that, so it was great that he was so accommodating. There was a bit of a lag too with the call, so it was, yeah, thanks, Roger. Anyway, Chris, what did you think? I know you love Arthur Morgan.
It was, wow. I'm just so honored that we got to have Roger on the show. Me and the team watching behind the scenes, not gonna lie, it was a little bit tense just because, you know, someone of his caliber, considering I've been a fan, like you were saying yourself, you were playing the game during your leaving cert, a bit younger than Jamie, guys, about 4 years younger. So I would have been in secondary school as well here in Ireland, high school. And that was my game. That was my go-to game. And, you know, I played GTA 5, but Red Dead Redemption was my proper first AAA game. So after GTA. So getting to see him on our interview, on our Zoom call was an absolute honor. Yeah, no, I had such a good time watching.
Yeah, my ending in Red Dead 2 was the highest of honors, the deer. What was yours?
You're acting like the good honor ending was something you only got, man. No, I got the deer ending. I got the good honor ending too. I'm sorry, but I think that's the true kind of canon ending of Red Dead Redemption. It's him redeeming himself. You were talking about the Leopold Strauss scene where, you know, Arthur is going to collect the debt of the mother and child. I never got that scene, like, at all. So that's new to me, and I'm very annoyed I didn't get that scene because it just hits so much, man. Like, and what Roger said about imagining Arthur's son and wife, that just adds a whole new layer to this that we never actually had before. Because, like, of course, like, there's loads of interviews with Roger now talking about the game, but I don't think I've heard him talk about that before, so that's really cool. And I know, like, of course, Red Dead Redemption 2 is a video game, but the narrative of that is essentially like a film. The game looks like a film as well. Like, let's be honest. For 2018, it looked quite impressive. Red Dead Redemption 2 might as well be a movie.
Yeah, and I mean, what Roger said about AI, I completely agree. I mean, they're taking people's jobs. I mean, there's no shortage of actors. I mean, the talent from these actors too, it's just, there's no need to be replacing them with AI. Well, that does it for us here today at Lovett Film. It's been an absolute pleasure to, you know, have you sit along as I talk to Roger Clark about Red Dead 2 and his journey through acting in general. Anyway, folks, it's been a pleasure to have you on the Lovett Film Show. I will see you next week. If you enjoyed watching our show today, leaving a review on Apple Reviews for Apple Podcasts. I mean, that really, really helps us. That keeps us afloat. That makes people see, oh, I mean, people are actually watching this. It helps us make more of these. If you want to see more of these and want to give something back, help support the show, anything will do. We appreciate it. We have our Patreon, which we have the link for in our bio on Instagram. A little goes a long way, so we appreciate it.